My ex-husband, 38, and I, 36 female, were together for 6 years, married for 2 before he left me. At the time, our daughter was a toddler. She's now a kindergartner. There were no warning signs. I left to do a grocery shop, came home to him and his clothes and things gone, and left a note saying he was in love with a new woman and wanted a divorce, just like that. I got no closure from that. Any calls or messages were dodged, and even when they were about our daughter, there was nothing. During our divorce, he tried to fight for full custody, despite having not seen her for 6 months at this point, which was denied because he was in the military and at times constantly moving. I got full custody, and he got supervision with holidays if he's not deployed. Shortly after our divorce, he married his new wife, and they settled down in the city we live in. He's still in the military, but now he's on a specific base. I asked if he wanted to revise the custody since he's no longer traveling. He said no need, and he wanted to take things slow. Since our divorce, he's maybe seen her 11 times over 4 years? And mind you, he lives in the same city. Travel isn't a problem. My daughter's in therapy for this, to process the absence and broken promises from her father. Typically, I'll pick you up this weekend, only to bail last second. Anyway, on to the issue. I got a call from him Friday night. He was supposed to pick our daughter up at 8 a.m. Saturday, but I got a call at 1 a.m. because I was up working, and he basically said that he couldn't take our daughter this weekend. After some back and forth, he says it's because his wife is upset with them spending time with her, and she gets jealous. Yes, jealous of a kindergartner. Absolute idiot. I've been fairly cooperative this entire time, but Jesus, I was just so upset. Like a buildup of emotions, I just started yelling at him, calling him a sack of crap and a disgrace. I mentioned our daughter being in therapy and how upset she was seeing some of the other kids with dads. In the preschool, there was this dad day where the kids brought their dads in to do activities with them. They had a mom day the previous week, and he promised to show up, but pulled out at the last minute. I had to give her a sick day because she was so upset. So I really started going in on him. He got angry and started yelling and cussing back. Eventually he got quiet, and I ended up saying, "You know what's really darn funny? During our entire relationship, you made a big show about how much you hated your dad, how horrible he was to your mom and siblings, and how your biggest fear was becoming just like him. But honestly, the apple doesn't fall far from the darn tree because you are just like him." This was said in anger. He isn't exactly like his father, but there were similarities, which was why I said it. His father cheated on his mother, abused them, and eventually left and abandoned them for another woman. Take out the abuse part, and in my opinion, they're the same. He didn't say anything for a few seconds, said Jesus, and just ended the call. I haven't had contact with him since then. I absolutely did not feel bad at the time. I felt like my words were justified, but the more time that passes, the more I feel like I went too far. I told my parents what I said to get some feedback, and they said it was cruel and unnecessary. So, am I the idiot? Being civil hasn't had any impact. Maybe this will be the wake-up call he needs. So he's not the idiot if the deadbeat dad shoe fits. But you can't let him get your daughter's hopes up anymore. Therapy is good, but the repeated disappointment just causes setbacks for her. Though I'm sure he'll still pop back into her life after she turns 18. In my experience, eventually, he'll divorce his new wife, then come crawling back when she's a young lady to try to rebuild their relationship. And then he'll get angry when the kid doesn't just act like nothing happened. OP, get yourself a good lawyer to help you get full custody. Maybe you should petition to remove him as the father completely. Revoke his parental rights. He's earned the title of deadbeat dad all on his own. I'm hoping that his saying Jesus and hanging up was a come to Jesus moment, and he's ending things with the wife and booking therapy. Chances are slim to none, but I will treat myself to a tiny bit of optimism. Honestly, part of me wonders if he's using his new wife as an excuse because he's too much of a coward to admit the truth. He is like his father, period. I'm engaged to my fiancée, Meg. I own a large home. Meg spends most of her time at my place. but technically, she still has her own place. We're in the process of moving her in with me this fall. Since my place has a lot of room and Meg's doesn't, I agreed to host her family from out of town for Thanksgiving. I will be blunt, I do not like Meg's family. They're all extremely conservative, conspiracy theorists, low-key racist, a woman's place is in the kitchen types. Meg is very different from them, but is close to them. She hadn't seen them in a year, so I agreed that they could stay at my place for the holiday because I usually tolerate them enough. Wednesday morning, Meg's parents arrive and things are fine. A few hours later, Meg's sister gets here. I have a dog named Lucy. This is my dog, not Meg's dog, and not our dog. I had her for years before Meg was around, and Meg is not a big fan of dogs, although she likes Lucy. I was in the bathroom when the sister pulled into the driveway. Meg's mom calls to me and says, "I'm going to let Lucy out to say hi to Meg's sister," to which I explicitly say, "No, don't do that. She needs to be on a leash and I should handle her. Give me a minute and I can help, but leave her inside." I know she heard me because she said okay. 2 minutes later, Meg came screaming, saying that her mom had let Lucy outside and she ran down the street. I ran out of the house and got in my car to drive after her, but I could never find her. I went all around my neighborhood and adjacent neighborhoods, trying to find her all day, but I just couldn't. She had my number on her collar, but I was terrified she was gone or got hit by a car or something. Meg drove around in her car some throughout the day too, but her parents and sister did nothing. They just spent the day alone at my house. I went home and slept and then resumed the search in the morning on Thursday, Thanksgiving Day. I continued searching and got a call in the afternoon that someone found Lucy. I went and I got her, and she was a mess. She had several bite marks and was bleeding in several places. I think she got into a fight with a wild animal. I took her to the ER immediately and they patched her up. And she'll pull through, luckily, but that process took a long time, so I didn't get home until Thursday night. Today, I was exhausted and locked myself in my room with Lucy to watch her. Meg's dad knocked on my door and told me to be a man, that the dog was back, and that it was just a stupid dog, so who cares? I told them all to leave right now. Meg was upset and said they didn't have anywhere, and I said I didn't care, but they couldn't be at my home. They eventually left after I threatened to call the cops. Meg went with them and texted that it was rude to offer my home, and then kicking them out, and they made an honest mistake. I felt that her mom did not listen to what I told her, and Lucy needed quiet time alone to recover, and I never even got an apology. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. So you basically missed the holiday that they were there to celebrate because you had to care for the dog they let get injured. They didn't help look for the dog. They didn't apologize for letting the dog out. Her father added to the fire by being an idiot with that being a man line. I would have kicked them out as soon as it took more than an hour to find the dog. Agreed. If I'd been the one to let the dog out, I'd have been searching with you and offered to pay for the vet's bill. Dude, you don't seem like you're asking yourself the hard question yet. What does it say about Meg and your standing in this future marriage that she sided with them? I would 100% reconsider marrying Meg. She might be different, but she shows you which side she'll stick to when there's a conflict. They didn't even bother trying to help you find your dog that they lost from their mistake. The apple never falls far from the tree. She is close to her family, meaning that one day or another, she will revert to their behavior. I had the same experience and I fell for it. I wish someone told me this. When people show you who they are, believe them the first time. Make no excuse for her and her awful family. Our old house was super childproof. We bought a new home and have moved in. We didn't bother childproofing our new house since we feel like our daughter's old enough. We had family over a couple of weeks ago for the first time. My sister had a rough time because she had to keep a constant watch on her son. He's an older kid, but he's severely developmentally delayed and gets into things. Later, she talked about waiting until we installed the childproofing stuff before they visited again. We told her we had no plans to install that stuff because our daughter didn't need it anymore. We also didn't keep any of it, so we would have to buy it again. The family has offered to pay for new childproofing stuff. It just seems like a hassle. I swear that stuff is just made to be aggravating, and we like having our house how it is, so we don't want it. We've been told we're being mean and exclusionary to not accommodate him. Our place has generally always been the meeting place for the family since we have the most space and a backyard, and we're centrally located for everyone. We also like hosting though, so it's not like people are taking advantage. I think my sister could just keep a closer watch on her son, but apparently that's too hard to do constantly. She says she has to do that everywhere else already, and we took away one of the few safe places for him. She says if our house stays how it is, it'll be too much trouble for her to come. Yesterday, we had a barbecue for Memorial Day, and she didn't come. This also meant her daughter couldn't come, and she liked coming. So now it's our fault she doesn't get to come to family gatherings anymore. Am I the idiot for not child-proofing my new house for my nephew? I wouldn't do it. I did it for my sister's kids. It's expensive and time-consuming, and I hated having to fight to open doors and cabinets. And sister and hubby thought it was a free pass to not watch their kids, and a bunch of crap got broken or destroyed anyway. You are not the idiot. 100%. I have a 2.5-year-old and can't wait to get rid of all the child-proofing stuff. I recently took him to my parents' house, where we visited often, and they have many nice breakable things. I would never ask or expect them to child-proof for him. The world isn't child-proof, and it's my job to watch my child and teach what he can and can't do. I do recognize that it's more difficult with a special needs kiddo, but it is a disservice to him to not try and teach him. It's your house, your rules, but don't be surprised or hurt when she doesn't come over. Mothering a special needs kid isn't easy when it's not on your own home turf. I'm one too. I know how it is. There were plenty of houses we didn't go to because I knew there were too many risks involved, like my brother-in-law, who used to leave random power tools out all the time. We stopped going to his home until my son was older and we could trust him more. Her request was ridiculous, but yeah, don't get butthurt when she doesn't come over. My ex-wife, Lena, and I have a son, Matt, a young grammar schooler, and I have 50-50 custody. We don't have healthy co-parenting. We avoid each other most of the time, and everything in relation to the routine and Matt, we resolve it through an app. We split all expenses related to our son, as school, doctors, and others, 50-50. I'm a dentist, to be clear, and until last year, before we were separated, I cared for my son about this. Recently, she sent a message to me through the app, letting me know that the dentist appointment was X amount and that we were to pay 50-50. I asked if something emergency had happened, and she said no, just routine, and I asked her why she didn't just let me know and I'll take care of it. Her response was now she has her own dentist and went through him since her kid was with her, and it would be easier. I agreed, but I asked what the point was because it would literally be free if I did it. She kind of snapped and said she expected payment from me. I replied that I would see because I don't refuse to pay for anything for Matt, especially for health reasons, but a stupid expense like that doesn't make sense, and she can't afford it if she simply prefers to pay for something that I do for free. She was not happy. She said that this was an expense for our son that we agreed to share, and I was refusing to do so, considering that I'm his father and that she wasn't obligated to choose me as a dentist. We do have an agreement to split 50-50, but for me, this is the most absurd expense that she's charged me. I would understand if it was something emergency or outside my specialty, but a routine appointment? Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Yes, she's mom, but this is a medical decision. Changing doctors should be something that's agreed on, not done unilaterally. I would look at the specific verbiage of the divorce decree. Do you have rights regarding medical care? Are you listed as his dentist? This sounds like she's deliberately trying to make you pay extra, even if she has to pay extra to make you do so. Agreed. She's doing this because she knew OP would stink about it. Who in the world, especially now, would pay extra for something someone would do for free? I would pay money to watch her explain this to a judge. It likely wouldn't be the stupidest thing the judge had to deal with that week either. I'm sorry, but you are the idiot. As someone whose dad was a dentist, I want you to think through if you want to press this. We asked our mom to go somewhere else because we were starting to associate Dad with pain and anxiety, and we didn't want to tell him. We weren't afraid of him, but we didn't want to hurt his feelings. Agreed. Medical professionals shouldn't be practicing on family members for many reasons. You are the idiot, OP. As you pointed out, you're not in a great co-parenting relationship. It's more than normal to want a third party for all things. You are lording dentistry above her head to force interaction, and that's not great. I'm very close to my mother-in-law. I met her when I was 12, and she was more of a mother to me than my own mother. Both my in-laws are great. My husband is very close to his mom as well. When my husband and I got married, mother-in-law actually walked me down the aisle after my grandparents, who were supposed to do it, didn't show up. So she's been an amazing support to me in the 16 years I've known her. As an adult, I have no contact with my parents and have lower contact with my grandparents since the wedding incident. They didn't show up because I refused to invite my parents for appearance sake. Anyway, when my husband and I found out we were expecting a baby, we tossed around the idea of naming her after mother-in-law. I wanted her name to be special and have a story and real meaning behind it. My mother-in-law has a Rose name, and she always wanted to be a Rosie, but another nickname stuck when she was very young. So we decided if we had a girl, we'd name her Rosie, and after finding out we were expecting a girl, Rosie became the firm choice. We told nobody about the name until we had her. Mother-in-law and father-in-law came to the hospital to meet her, which is when we told mother-in-law as she was holding her namesake. She was so happy, and father-in-law was overjoyed for her. But not everyone loved it. My grandparents were angry when they heard about the name because I honored mother-in-law, not one of my parents. My sister-in-law was also annoyed. Sister-in-law named both her kids after father-in-law. Daughter has the female version of his name. Son has father-in-law's middle name as a first name. And brother-in-law named his son after father-in-law too. Our daughter is the first and maybe only child who will honor mother-in-law. So my sister-in-law feels like I did this to try to make her and brother-in-law feel bad and or try to make my daughter the favorite for mother-in-law. My husband said she was being ridiculous, and mother-in-law was so upset when she found out what her daughter had said. But the backlash surprised me, not as much from my grandparents, but from sister-in-law for sure. Sister-in-law blamed me because she said if I hadn't been okay with it, my daughter wouldn't even have a family name. She told me I was being a witch to her and brother-in-law and the other grandkids. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. The sister-in-law is clearly jealous of your close relationship with your mother-in-law. Now you know that they named their children after father-in-law to ingratiate themselves, and they're trying to win some sort of position as the favorites. After her verbal attack, you now know what she thinks and feels. She's insanely jealous and selfish. What you did was sweet. I feel bad for your mother-in-law, because what should have been a happy moment to honor her and show recognition that she's important to others and loved, your sister-in-law somehow managed to twist it and make it all about herself, dragging her brother-in-law into it as well. Sister-in-law sounds selfish by saying all those things and making your mother-in-law upset over it. What was the alternative? No one honors mother-in-law at all? They got to name their children after father-in-law, which was their choice. You wanted to name yours after mother-in-law because she's important in your lives. Sister-in-law should have no say.